He told you
Yes.
he was looking for a woman with children.
With children, because it makes you the perfect hostage. No mother is going to leave her child under any circumstances for anything.
Julie's torture began here. It was just after noon in October 2002. She pulled into her church parking lot with her son. Preschool was letting out for her daughter.
So we're kind of dawdling out to our car. I buckled my son into his car seat. My daughter was in the very back of our van, and she was playing around. And I was talking to a girlfriend of mine, and then as soon as she drove away, within a split second, a man rushed me from behind, hit me over the head with what felt like a brick. My daughter started screaming and tried to jump out of the van. We were both screaming. He threw me inside, shut the door, turned up the radio to muffle our screams, and then he looked at me and he said, "Do you believe in God?" And I said, "Of course I believe in God." And he said, "Then you're going to forgive me for what I'm about to do to you and your 2 children." And at that point, my heart sank.
Julie's abductor drove south from Homestead out into the Everglades, going deep into the brush.
He raped me several times while my daughter sat within feet of me, and he forced her to watch every minute of the beatings and the rapes. He said to her at one point, "What did your mother do that made God so mad that he hates your family this much?"
At one point when he was raping you, he made you turn around and look at your son.
Yeah.
And he said something really horrific to you.
He did. He said, every time you look in your son's eyes, I want you to remember what it feels like when I raped you. And he said that during the most profane parts of the rape. And so looking in my son's eyes, it took me forever to get over that. To take that kind of connection away from a mother and a son, that probably took me the longest to get over.
When we come back, Julie's fight for survival comes to an end and her fight for change begins, but not before her abductor makes a shocking confession.
"I've done this before. I just did this 10 days ago," he said to me.
Julie Weil, a mother of 2 from Jupiter, is fighting for her life. She had no idea at the time, but her attacker had it all very carefully planned, and he was confident he would never get caught. It was mid-afternoon now on that October day in 2002. Julie Weil and her 2 children had been abducted from their church parking lot and driven deep into the brush of the Everglades. She was raped repeatedly, her kids tortured.
He did things to me that I still don't even want to admit to myself today.
After hours of abuse inside Julie's minivan, they drove back to civilization to this ATM. A knife at her daughter's throat in the back seat. Julie was instructed to take out as much money as she could and never make a signal to anyone that anything was wrong. Then, without knowing it, her abductor drove them all here, raping Julie again inside her van. What he didn't know is that Julie used to play at this playground. Her parents still live in her childhood home just across the street.
The most hopeless feeling was that I could see my mom's car in her driveway.
Julie knew she could make a run for it, but not with kids.
And I remember that feeling like help is so close.
The day grew long. Julie and her children had been hostage the entire afternoon. It was about to come to an end, though. In the same place it began, right back at her church.
He parked kind of in between some bushes so that nobody would see us. So he threw my underwear at me and he said, "Now I want you to wipe down all the buttons, the radio, the air conditioning, the windows, everything. I want you to wipe down this van because I want you to know I'm never going to be caught."
And then Julie heard a stunning admission.
"I've done this before. I just did this 10 days ago," he said to me. "I did this at a church in Pinecrest to another woman, but she didn't have, I thought she was bringing her kid back to the car with her, and she didn't. I abducted her, and she fled. But I was smart with you. I made sure you had kids with you, so you couldn't go anywhere."
He said that to you?
He said that to me. And he laid me down, naked in that van, in between both my kids, and he put the knife in the back of my neck, and he played with my hair, and then he would push it down into my neck, and he said, to my daughter, "Should I kill your mom? What do you think?" And of course she's upset and screaming. And he's like, I don't know what I'm going to do. And he played with the knife. And then just like that, he just got out of the car and walked away.
Vanished, Julie remembers, but not for long. Though Julie had wiped away most of the evidence in her van, a tiny piece of the rapist's DNA was found on Julie's shirt. 6 months later, when police were called to a domestic violence scene involving suspect Michael Siebert, his DNA matched Julie's shirt and several rape cases before hers. Dubbed the daycare rapist, Siebert is now behind bars facing 7 consecutive life terms.
It's over. It is over. And as anybody who's been through crime knows, it's never over.
Julie moved to Palm Beach County, a way to heal. But by opening up eventually, sharing her story, she's been opening doors for others.
This is it. This is the dream.
Like the Butterfly House. It's a small center at Wellington Hospital where rape victims avoid the chaos of the ER and instead are examined in a private, delicate way.
Everything can happen here. You can have your exam, you can talk to the police, you can feel confident it's being recorded, the medical care you get here is top-notch, and then you can come in here and it's like a little oasis. It's, beautiful decor. It's like being in your own home and you can shower right away.
Julie has also pushed for a rape treatment center, and it's now open in the heart of Palm Beach County. But she didn't stop there.
Each time I was violently raped, he forced both of my children to watch every moment of the crime.
She took her powerful story to Washington, D.C. 2 years ago, sharing every detail with Congress. It was an attempt to change the way rape cases are handled nationwide.
I was laying naked on the floor of my van when this all happened to me, with my daughter on my left and my son on my right, and I never thought, after he left me there, that I would be able to get up and do anything. It's inconceivable to me that I could go from there to there. But what an amazing feeling. It gives a purpose to the pain that my family went through. And there's nothing more empowering than that. I got justice and I got my life back.
But Julie is the first to admit she didn't do any of this alone. Local and federal lawmakers, as well as victim advocates, have all been instrumental in her fight for change. And that fight continues today.
So you're saying there's DNA sitting on shelves across this country?
Yes.
And it's never been entered into a system?
It's never been entered into a system.
The Contact 5 investigators have learned there are nearly 400,000 DNA test kits from rape cases alone that have never been processed, and hundreds of them are right here in South Florida. We're going to have that part of our report coming up tomorrow night right here on News Channel 5 at 11.
And Julia started a website
Yes.
to give safety tips to women.
And I've learned so much from them. We've posted them on our website right now.